My humble salutations once again to Sadayappa, the philanthropist, without whose support Kamba Ramayana itself would not have been possible. And my salutations to Kambar, Karaikudi Kamban Kazhagam, and the scholar, Kambar scholar, Mr. Palniyappan, who extended his invitation to me to present this discourse on Kambar's poetic excellence. This is my second video on Kiskintha Canto. I am Dr.Raji Sreenivasan from Singapore, from an English academic background, but interested in Tamil literature and learning it along with people like you. One would say that the reason literature conquers time is its poetic excellence. The subject matter and purpose of the song are inseparable reasons for the living nature of literature. The story is not the only reason for Kamba Ramayana to live beyond time. The way the story is told is also the reason. Elegant rhetoric is one reason why Kambar's poetry is so special. His diction means choice of words, his diction, rhyme, rhythm, and meter play an important role in determining his poetic excellence. Fertile imagination sets Kambar apart from many poets. He actually provides enough food for all our five senses. He presents before us beautifully quite a lot of visualizations, and he uses plenty of similes, metaphor, personifications, allusions, parables, extended epithets, and so on and so forth. And his variety of figure of speech does not allow the sense of boredom to creep into our mind at all. After all, we all know the story of Ramayana. When Kamba is reinventing the whole of Ramayana, what makes it so special? His figures of speech, his way of packaging it matters to us, matters to even an ordinary reader, because it makes Kamba Ramayana live forever. Imaginative descriptions and the variety of emotions he showcases makes Kamba Ramayana exceptional amidst many epic poetries. The adornment of the poem adds polish to the poem. All of these are in Kamba's poem. That's why Kamba is appreciated by the learned. The purpose of this section is to illustrate this point. In Kiskintha Canto, there are 16 padalams and 1031 verses. Each and every one of the verse is a visual treat, is a literary treat by itself to all of us. Each one contains so much of imaginative content in that, and so much of beauty that we are simply carried away with that. While paying attention to the poetic elegance, we should also appreciate the parallels and contrast created by Kambar to impress upon the readers the relationship between brothers as it existed not only between Rama and Lakshmana, Rama and Bharata, but also between Sugriva and Vali. The relationship between the latter, as it is crafted by Kambar, serves as an antithesis to that of Rama and Bharata. This canto is especially significant in introducing some very important meetings between Rama Lakshmana on the one hand and Hanuman on the other hand. And there's another meeting that is between Ram Lakshmana on the one hand and between Sugriva on the other hand. And also there's this another meeting, even though under taxing circumstances, between Rama Lakshmana on the one hand and the dying Vali on the other hand. These meetings play a very pivotal role in steering the movement of the epic. When Hanuman is sent by Sugriva to check on Rama and Lakshmana, as he suspected them as spies of Vali, the scene unfolds before us as a proof of Kamba's poetic excellence. Darumamum தகவும் தனமெனும் தகையறிவர் கருமமும் பிரிதோர் பொருள் கருதி அன்று அது கருதின் அருமருந்து அணைய இடையழிவு வந்து உளது அதனை இருமருங்கினும் நெடிது துருவுகின்றனர் இவர்கள். This is the Tamil verse, and humanly impossible to convey the excellence, the beauty of this verse in any language. Despite that, I make an attempt on the basis of how it is done through the eyes of Hanuman. This verse actually is the verse spoken by Hanuman as a kind of an observation when he looks at Rama and Lakshmana, probably unnoticed by them. He looks at them. He passes this kind of an observation, mental observation. This demonstrates Maruti's quality of observation. He has exceptional quality of assessing people around him accurately. He observes that the dusty-looking bow-clad men looked noble though fatigue-stricken in a previous verse. Through this particular verse, Kamba not only presents before us the nuances observed by Hanuman, but also ensures an enhanced understanding of Rama, Lakshmana, and Hanuman through this single verse. The single verse stands as a proof of the beautiful characters of three human beings. That is the power of Kamba. Hanuman thinks that righteousness and good conduct are the hallmarks of these two people. They have not come in search of any tangible benefits. Look at how he is able to tell this just by a look at the faces of Rama and Lakshmana. They look like people who have lost something over which they have absolute right. This is another of the nuances presented by Hanuman that forces us to think. Probably Hanuman's mind thinks of Sugriva also. Sugriva also has absolute right over Ruma. So slowly, we using a foreshadowing technique, Kamba is forcing us towards the thought process of Hanuman. The nuances observed by Hanuman are actually the building blocks introduced by Kambar into shaping our understanding of not only his characters Rama and Lakshmana, but also that of Hanuman. Kambar has the photographic ability to provide visualizations, which time and again creates a great impact on us as if we are watching a movie. The scene where Rama is impressed by Hanuman's approach towards the two noble princes unveils beautifully before us. In this, Rama is impressed by Hanuman's appearance, his way of talking, his respectful approach, and his good intent, and he thinks that there is no equal to this great person in terms of even his wisdom and knowledge. Kambar writes a very famous verse for its diction to introduce the impact of Hanuman on Rama himself. The beauty of the verse exceeds my description. இல்லாத உலகத்து எங்கும் ஈங்கு இவன் இசைகள் கூற கல்லாத கலையும் வேத கடலுமே என்னும் காட்சி சொல்லாலே தோன்றிற்று அன்றே யார் கொல் இச்சொல்லின் செல்வன் யார் கொல் இச்சொல்லின் செல்வன் வில்லார் தோள் இளைய வீர விரிஞ்சனோ விடை வல்லனோ. The phrase Sollin Selvan that is used by Kambar here as the words of Rama, they have become world famous today in the world where Tamil is literally known. The phrase Sollin Selvan simply means someone who has a way with words. But it's not only that, it goes beyond that. A person who has complete mastery over words. What is the point? He could be just a person who can reel off rhetoric. No. Hanuman, by being labeled the Sollin Selvan, he is the embodiment of humility. He is the embodiment of good character and conduct. He is the embodiment of wisdom, knowledge. Using all this, he chooses each and every one of his words very carefully. The simple phrase Sollin Selvan convey all these to the readers. These famous words of Rama demonstrates a recognition of the promising future of Hanuman. To provide credence to this title, Hanuman asks in an inoffensive, smart manner, please order me as to what do I convey to my leader Sugriva as your credentials. Observe the words here. He doesn't say, "Hello, sir, who are you? My king Sugriva wants to know. I need to tell them. Can you give me the details?" No, no, no. These are the words of untutored people. But see the words used by Hanuman. Please order me. Please order me. You are my master. He conveys that to Rama. You are somebody whom I respect. As to what do I convey to my leader Sugriva as your credentials? What a beautifully summed up sentence that Hanuman utters here. Kamba crafts this so well that we do agree that Rama's title given to Hanuman, Sollin Selvan, is very appropriate. Kamba's diction and verse structure shapes Hanuman's character here. The beauty of Kamba's verse is that while he himself elevates Rama to a divine level, he bestows the same qualities upon Hanuman also and elevates him along with Rama. Not only directly, but also through his character Rama, he compares Hanuman to Lord Shiva himself in many places throughout the rest of the epic. That is the speciality of Kishkinta Canto. The connection between the form chosen by Kamba and the critical content he conveys are inseparable in this particular Kishkinta Canto. Even though it is true for the whole of Kamba Ramayana, Kishkinta Canto actually complements the form and content of Kishkinta Canto complement each other. Kambar follows protocol strictly in this Kishkinta Canto. See, for example, Lakshmana narrates the entire life history of Rama until the beginning of Kishkinta Canto to Hanuman. Same Lakshmana does not do the same thing with Sugriva. When it comes to narrating it to Sugriva, Hanuman takes the turn because that is a protocol. Hanuman is the minister of Sugriva. So Hanuman narrates. Hanuman follows the protocol. This just shows that Kambar seeks out our understanding of the hierarchy and protocols as it is practiced in that society during that time. As the minister to Sugriva, Hanuman fulfills that role perfectly. This provides us a kaleidoscopic view of the cultural backdrop of the time. Kambar can add ornamentation and elevate a matter of fact incident in a warrior's life to epic proportions. What is interesting is that though he has demonstrated he has demonstrated his own rhetorical expert through this epic, his descriptions and rhetoric are crafted with a critical purpose in mind many a time. For example, despite Rama forging a bond of friendship with Sugriva, Sugriva, due to his devastating experiences with his own brother Vali, is in a mortal fear of Vali. The shade of doubt about Rama's ability to destroy Vali keeps keeping into Sugriva's mind, and at Hanuman's suggestion, Sugriva finally decides to suggest to Rama gently to pierce one maramaram. Maramaram is a very strong tree which is considered very sturdy, and probably in Sugriva's mind it is an equivalent to Vali in terms of its strength. See, Vali is supposed to be a very strong bodied person who cannot be conquered by any person. Vali is supposed to have conquered the Devas. He is supposed to have been turned down in a war with Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is supposed to have directed him towards Devas, who in turn have directed him to other people. So, Kamba grabs at this moment to demonstrate his acumen through a verse that is equally grand in terms of its figures of speech. This is a beautiful verse which presents before us Kambar's poetic excellence. ஏழு வேலையும் உலகம் மேல் உயர்ந்தன ஏழும் ஏழு குன்றமும் இருடிகள் எழுவரும் புரவி ஏழும் மங்கையர் எழுவரும் நடுங்கின என்ப ஏழு பெற்றதோ இக்கைனக்கு இலக்கம் என்று எண்ணி. Kamba has captured so many allusions in the single verse that's literally overwhelming for a reader. His ability to use extended similes is also amazing. See, this verse is about when Rama sent an arrow to instill confidence in Sugriva in Rama's ability to send Vali to Yama's abode. He pierced not one but 7 Maramara trees. Sugriva actually wanted Rama to demonstrate his valor by just piercing one tree. But Kamba, being Kamba, he wants to project his epic hero to a superhero level. So, what does he do? He makes his Rama to pierce 7 Maramara trees, which are the equivalent of literally 7 Valis put together. But when this happens, Kambar plays with the idea of number 7 using extended epithets. Ironically, Sugriva considered only one tree as equivalent to Vali's strength. When Kamba paints this picture before us, he conveys to us through these kind of extended epithets that 7 seas, such as salt sea, sugarcane sea, honey sea, ghee, curd, milk, freshwater seas, experience tremor as they are also 7 in numbers. 7 worlds, Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Suvarloka, Janaloka, Mahaloka, Thabaloka, and Satyaloka shiver as they are also 7 in numbers. 7 mountains such as Kailash, Himalaya, Vindhya, Mandara, Nidhata, Hemakuta, Gandhamadana all feel terrorized as they are also 7 in numbers. 7 rishis, Adri to Angiresha, 7 horses, Gayatri to Jagati, known to be the horses of the sun, and 7 divine women, known as Sapta Kanyas, Brahmi, Maheshwari, Gaumari, Narayani, Varahi, Indrani, and Chamundi, exhibited their insecurities as Rama has chosen to pierce 7 Maramara trees to prove his valor. When Kamba finishes this verse, we are awestruck at his erudite scholarship, his ability to compress so much information in such a short verse, and his uncompromising ability to use similes, allusions, metaphors, personifications, and extended epithets while still anchored to his critical content. See, the idea of playing around with number 7 in that single verse, Kambar demonstrates so much of his knowledge and wisdom. Kambar is so vastly well read that everything is contained in a single verse, at the same time, not compromising on the poetic quality. That is the speciality of this Kishkinta canto. There are simply too many verses that abound with rhetorical excellence and still intricately woven with critical thought. Many a time we feel that Kamba's poetic techniques do not stop at being ornamental, they also project and promote our understanding of the critical content in the direction desired by Kambar. For example, even when Vali is struck by Rama's arrow from behind the tree and Vali is astounded, Kambar does justice to Vali too by allowing Vali to lament at Rama's manner of hitting at him. This verse, you see, இல்லறம் துறந்து நம்பி எம்மனோர்க்காக தங்கள் வில்லறம் துறந்த வீரன் தோன்றலால் வேத நன்னூல் சொல்லறம் துறந்திலாத சூரியன் மரபும் தொல்லை நல்லறம் துறந்தது என்ன நகைவர நானும் கொண்டான். Kambar lists through Vali how Rama has violated the laws of Dharma from Vali's point of view. See, what's special here is Rama is very special to Kambar, of course, okay? Rama is not only an epic hero to Kambar, Rama is Lord Rama to Kambar. Through him, we have all learned to respect Rama like that. But at the same time, Rama never compromised the poetic quality of his epic. He also manages to introduce the technique of point of view, Meaning to say, as he gives a point of view to Rama or Lakshmana or Hanuman or Sugriva, he does remember that Vali's point of view should also be given its due respect. Kambar lists through Vali how Rama has violated the laws of Dharma. Kamba's ability to create this point of view for each of his characters, it allows us to appreciate the subtleties and nuances of each person. And we understand that he has crafted each of his characters on par with Rama. Being non judgmental and always being on the side of Dharma is Rama's choice in life. At the same time, Kambar shows very clearly the differences between Rama taking an autocratic decision, or rather an independent political decision for a specific purpose, as he does in the case of Vali, and taking democratic decisions, as he has taken in the case of Vibhishan at a later contour. Thank you very much for this great opportunity to present before you some snippets of Kambar's poetic excellence as demonstrated through the Kishkinta canto. Of course, this is not an exhaustive presentation, it's not possible. It's only an attempt to showcase the greatness of Kambar's poetry. Signing off from you is Dr. Raji Sreenivasan from Singapore, with utmost gratitude to Karaikudi Kamban Kazhagam and to Mr. Painiyappan, the great Kambar scholar, once again. Thank you very much.